What's going on out there, humans? Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where you're at in the world. I hope everybody woke up feeling blessed and grateful. I know I did. Welcome to another episode of the Humans with Brains podcast. I'm your host, Opulent Six, and these are my co-hosts, Lea Nika and Jennifer.
Hey. Why'd I say it like that?
And as always, this is a dummy-free zone, so don't get on here saying no stupid shit.
They will.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Guaranteed.
So, Leah, what you got for us today? Anybody got any random vices or...
I have randomness, but it's not a vice.
What's your randomness?
I don't know if y'all been seeing my big back lately, but my back ain't big anymore. I lost 10 pounds.
Woo!
Clap it up for that. Hold your lettuce cups in the air for Jen.
Yes.
She's down 10 pounds.
I
She
ain't.
doesn't
Lettuce
have a
cups.
big back
I've been in
anymore.
the 6-pack of the cities.
Now she has a medium back.
Yeah, it's a little medium. It's not as big anymore. Y'all gonna see it. When I start showing my neck, y'all know I'm back.
Period.
Yeah.
And when you start showing ass, that means it's
This
really
summer
bad.
might be an assful summer.
Period.
Yeah.
As it should be. Suns out, buns out. Ain't that what they
Yes,
say?
that's
As
exactly
it
what
should
they
be.
say.
The summer is made for the sexy folks.
Summer
Actually,
is
all
made for
year
the
is made
sexy.
for us.
Summer made for
If
the
you
sexy should be on a shirt. Yeah.
For the sexy folks.
Summer for the sexy folks.
I wish I was a part of that crew.
What
Me
about
too.
you? Do you got any randoms you want to get off before we dive into it?
No, not this week.
Wow. Surprising, no.
Oh, she wasn't dragged this week, so she's all right.
No, I wasn't dragged. I'm getting used to it now, people. Thank you so much.
We love
you
drag.
too.
Yeah.
So what are we getting into today? What's the topic?
So today's topic, and I actually did my research a little bit because
Mhm.
I'm curious to know how everybody was parented as a kid. So today's topic is parenting styles and how it affects children as they grow up and how it all affected us three growing up. So can I read you guys the 4 parenting styles
Oh,
that
we both on the same page?
Oh, shit.
Because
well,
there's
then
4.
you read 2 and you read 2 because there's 4, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to read the
But
first
I
2?
want to emphasize before we dive into this dialogue, even if you don't have children, you should probably tune in so that you can learn
Mm.
from our mistakes or what we grew up and felt that kind of knocked us off our pivot. So if you don't have children, you probably should still tune in. And if you do have children, you definitely want to tune in, even if they are already grown and out the house,
Mhm.
because in retrospect, it's good for your soul to go back and be like, I should have did some things different. That way you can have that dialogue with your children
Mhm.
and try to make amends. So
Yeah. Plus,
this is-
even if you don't have kids, you were parented by someone.
And then you actually realize,
Yeah.
and then it points you back to your childhood traumas, why
Yeah.
you accept certain love
Yeah.
that doesn't feel like love. And it's,
Uh-huh.
you know, because you're familiar.
Yeah.
And it's based on how you were parented as a
Yeah.
kid.
right.
So it goes both ways. Everybody has something.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So this does go well with.
We all have an Uncle Lester,
You silly.
Who
but
is
we don't
Uncle-
Let me
all
say this.
have
Let me
a
say
father
this.
named Lester.
Let me say this.
Uncle Lester sounds like a, sorry,
Let me say this.
pervert uncle.
And I'm speaking to all the parents out there. As parents, we must be careful and cautious not to make the same mistakes with our children that we felt our parents made with us.
Mm.
Because as parents, we become a conduit for our children's trauma and thought life.
Mm.
Our voice becomes the voice in their head.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And most kids spend their whole adulthood trying to recover from their childhood.
Yep.
But with that being said, whether you were born in a mansion or a manger, no one will leave their childhood unscathed. So it is your responsibility to do your healing work before you enter the world and start crashing into people. It might not be your fault how you were raised, but when you become an adult, it is definitely your responsibility because you are an adult maybe 4 or 5 times longer than you are a kid. You're only a kid for about 16, 17 years. So I have a problem with people blaming their whole life in their 30s and 40s on what happened at a fraction of their life. Even though it can be impactful and have residual effects,
Mhm.
we must do the work so that we can be productive, progressive, and successful. With that being said, let's go into these parenting styles because I'm sure some of y'all don't even know what they are. But as we get into the minutia, you could say, oh, that's how I was raised. Because I want to hear which
Yeah.
one than how y'all grew up.
That
and we'll
yeah,
get
that's why I did this too
Yeah.
because I'm
we'll
curious
get
to
into the
know.
minutia.
Yeah.
All right,
Wait,
Leah,
that was
go.
the bar. Either if you were born in a mansion or a manger.
Yeah,
Like,
you will not
whoa.
leave your childhood unscathed. I don't care if you Paris
Yeah.
Hilton probably got some trauma.
Of course.
Everybody.
does.
So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Don't think, oh, I was born, in a hood or urban community, or oh, they was born in a mansion. His daddy famous. Nobody leaves their childhood unscathed. You're gonna have some type of trauma or healing that you need to address. So
Yeah.
let's get into the minutia.
Okay, so mine is not as wordy. So you want me to do all 4? I can.
Okay.
So, I mean, okay. The first one is authoritative. It's high warmth, high structure, supportive but firm, encourages independence with limits. The effects on a child: higher self-esteem, good social skills, better academic performance. The other one is authoritarian. Low warmth, high structure, strict, controlling, expects obedience without question. Effects on a child: they may lead to anxiety, low self-worth, or rebellion. You got the last 2?
Permissive parenting. These parents are highly responsive and make few demands or expectations, often allowing children to make their own decision with little guidance or supervision. The characteristics of this is warm, responsive, lax, makes few demands, and often avoids discipline. The impact on children is children may struggle with self-regulation, have difficulties with boundaries, and be less independent. And then we have uninvolved parenting, which is self-explanatory, but parents are neither demanding nor responsive, often neglecting their children's needs and providing little support or guidance.
Wow.
The characteristics is unresponsive, detached, uninvolved, provides little guidance or support. The impact on children is children may experience emotional and behavioral problems and have low self-esteem and struggle with social skills. So these are the 4 styles: authoritative parenting, authoritarian parenting, permissive parenting, and uninvolved parenting. So,
Wow.
Jen, which one were you raised
Can you
under?
guess? Because you know me, but I'm just wondering.
I would guess authoritarian parenting.
With a mix with uninvolved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that
Yeah.
because you wild.
Why I gotta be wild?
Not wild.
Not wild. Me?
Nah, go ahead.
No, you got it. It's a definite mix. More authoritarian than uninvolved, but there's definitely a mix between the two. Yeah. And I would say I didn't have much anxiety until I was an adult. But I also have been told, even though I didn't hear it in there, that I'm overly self-reliant because I had to do a lot of stuff myself. Like I was in high school, got my own stuff for graduation, got my own prom dress, like paid for my pictures, I put myself through college. Like my parents were not involved.
Oh, so that's why you say
But they
a
were
little bit
there in physicality. They were there, but I don't think like on an emotional, they weren't like terrible. They were just kind of there. Like I don't remember getting like advice or support. Like the only thing I can remember my mom telling me is don't ever chase a man. Which it's not terrible advice.
Yeah.
But like I don't remember, maybe because I grew up in the church and she thought going to church was gonna do it. So a lot of the religion and stuff was like packed on me, and I ended up, thinking a little bit differently
Not
about
like
my
that.
spirituality.
Sorry to cut you off because I love your mom, but that speaks volumes because your mom was married.
Yeah.
And her advice is don't chase a man. Being a married woman in a household, that say everything about her marriage. She didn't say, hey, anything that got to do with being in love and being together is don't chase a man.
Maybe
As a
because-
married woman, like, where's the, hey, this is how you do this and this is how this should be, is don't chase a man.
Maybe
I just
because I
caught
was
that. It's
boy
like-
crazy.
Huh?
I was a little bit boy crazy in my teenage years.
So maybe that's
Yeah,
why
but she
said
still
that.
never gave you solid advice on how to be married and what that should look like. So I'm just saying now, in retrospect, yeah, your parents are divorced. But in that moment,
Yeah.
even if, because kids live in their own world, that's a telltale sign that it was thunder in paradise. Because look at your advice you're giving me.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I just caught that, but
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think again that made me like super like hyper independent and over self-reliant because I had to do I remember just telling my therapist like I would wash cars, or I was babysitting at 13. Like I was at a very early age, like I got to make money. Cause I want something from the ice cream truck. I want to walk to the store and be able to buy something. So I was at a very early age. I was pretty determined to get money because I just wanted the luxury of getting whatever I wanted. So I think that played into my adult life a little bit too. So I think the response from me ended up being, I wouldn't say I was, maybe at some point I was emotionally unregulated because I definitely had to work on my emotions as an adult. So I could see that too. Started having anxiety as an adult as well. So yeah, I can see some of those factors playing out in my life. I definitely had to recover from my childhood for sure.
What about you, Leah? How was the parenting style that you grew up under?
So your definition of permissive is like a little bit different than the one I got. So mine I feel like is a little bit of permissive and uninvolved. Uninvolved. Because I feel for me, I do have attachment issues. It took me a minute to figure out how to regulate my emotions. And for the longest time, it took a bunch of therapy for me to finally like forgive my mom and have compassion for her and understand that she just did the best she could with what she knows.
Yeah.
I was also hyper independent at some point. I had summer jobs. If I wanted the brand new Jordans was coming out this Saturday, like I was working my butt off in the summer so I could be fresh for school. Nobody's making fun of me saying I got Payless shoes.
I had Payless shoes.
What else? Yeah, I put myself through school too, the whole 9. I didn't really have emotionally available parents, but I feel like a lot of foreign parents are like that sometimes, or it doesn't matter what, but like especially Filipino parents. Yeah, so I think the mixture of those. What about you?
Well, I grew up without parents, really. My father died when I was 5. I saw him pass away on our front porch at one night.
Damn.
So I lost my father at 5, and my mother was on drugs until I was in my 20s. So I just kind of grew up without parents. I was a child, but I didn't have a childhood, you know.
Who would like look after you?
My sisters, you know, I just remember being poor. And the worst thing about being poor is you kind of find out you're poor through other people. Like as a child, you don't know you're poor. You don't know what's going on in everybody's house. You just think it's normal.
Right.
But I remember back in the day, the food stamps used to come in a booklet.
Yeah.
For those of y'all that don't know, they like a booklet. So imagine money. It was about the same size as money, but staple a bunch of money together.
Interesting. I didn't think about that. They made it look like money.
Yeah, they made it look like money. So
they actually did. Yeah.
These were food stamps. So they would come in a booklet. And again, if you don't, just imagine a bunch of money stapled together all on top of each other. And then you literally would just rip it out. They had 5s, 10s, and 20s. And you would rip it out and pay for food. But one day, my mother told my big brother, who was about 6 or 7 years older than me, seven years older than me, she told him to go to the store to buy some salami and some bread. And then he came in the room and told me, go to the store and buy some salami and bread. Now, and I'm like, she just told you, but I was scared of my big brother. So he gave me the food stamps and I went to the store and I bought salami and bread. And when I came back, my brother was like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, I saw my friends at the store and they was laughing at me. And I was like, why was they laughing at me? And he was like, because you was paying for the food with food stamps, stupid. And I was like, okay. I thought everybody paid for food with food stamps. I didn't know. And I was like, what's wrong with that? And he was like, food stamps is for poor people. And I was like, are we poor? And he was like, yeah, stupid. Look around. Yeah, we poor. And I was like, oh. And then it was like the veil of ignorance lifted off because I had a pair of Timberlands, but the tree was falling down on them. They was timbers. They wasn't Timberlands. So I'm starting to notice.
Shut up.
Yeah, like I grew up.
What do you mean
poor,
timbers?
poor.
Now I'm really like picturing.
We have to have our director, first of all, put up a booklet of food stamps in there and then put up the Timberlands with the
No, what?
Yeah.
I had a polo.
Add it to the video.
Yeah.
I had a polo shirt, but the horse was on that side and the man was on this side.
Well, they were playing.
It was all
Shut
wrong,
up.
all wrong, and you find out in front of everybody it is all wrong. But we didn't have running water and lights and stuff. So that fueled my passion to have money. What I've learned, whatever you lack as a child usually determines what you end up valuing as an adult. Because I used to just want the biggest house in the world. I used to want a 30-bedroom. But I realized like, oh, I wanted all this because I felt empty and felt like I lived in lack and limitation. Once I healed that part of me, now I got 5 bedrooms now, 4 bath. I'm like, this is kind of big. Literally, I just walked through like, this is kind of, I got a pretty big house, but I don't need it.
Yeah.
When I first set out, you know, when you say, hey, when I grow up, I'm gonna have this and have that, I was like, I'm gonna have all the cars, all the shoes, I wanted to overconsume because I felt like I grew up so impoverished and other people were in charge of my life and ruined my life. Like, I was like, I'm not poor because of nothing I did. These folks ruined my life. When I get control of the steering wheel, I want 30 bedrooms. I used to want 15 kids, 5 cars. So I accomplished all that stuff, all the jewelry, all the just the stuff that don't mean anything, but I end up going to that dark place.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say what your reactions to that was, because I think it was mine too. But I feel like, I don't know if this happened in your family, but some people have a projection of money that's different. They think it's not available to them and they continue to struggle throughout life because they didn't make that decision early to do the opposite and use that as fuel to say, well, I don't want it, because that was my first thought. Like, I don't want to ever have to struggle like that. So I'm going to make sure I don't struggle. I'm going to get a job. Like, as soon as I could get a job legally, I got one. Like, I've been working since I was 13 years old.
I couldn't even get a job in high school because we couldn't find my birth certificate because we couldn't find my mommy. And by the way, for everybody listening, before my mother passed, we were on the best of terms, my best friends. She cleaned her life up. Which brings me to this. My real issue, because being so involved with money ain't as bad as dealing with a man who doesn't know he has a mommy issue. And I'm speaking to because I did not know I had a mommy issue. It wasn't until I went into that dark place, God show you who you are and you have to face everything. And I realized like, oh shit, I'm doing every single woman wrong because I believe that they're going to do me wrong. So I'm just trying to preemptively beat them to the punch. I'm going to get my lick back first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to get my lick back, but first. You ain't even licked me yet, but I felt like men with mommy issues, deeply rooted in us, we feel like the woman who was supposed to love us and treat us right from the start didn't. So we can't conceive any other woman coming in doing it. So we don't know how to treat her. And we always waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Right.
So we don't value her. And we're going to basically put her through the ringer. We're going to take out our anger that we could not give to our own mother on the woman we're with until we heal. But we don't recognize it as I'm taking my mommy anger issues out on you. We don't recognize it as that. Even if you had your mama there and it was pretty good, but she was a single mother, you watch your mother struggle and do it all by herself. So as a man, you're going to grow up and watch your lady do it all by herself because it's normal to you. And you like, my mama did it, y'all women are weak. Your mama was tired. Your mama was emotionally drained. She didn't tell you that part. So you grew up, got a woman, now you watching your woman do it all by herself and you're comparing her to your mother. Like, oh, my mother could do it. Your mother didn't want to do it. Your woman don't want to do it. You need to heal, homie. And I had to, once I healed, even with my wife, when I met her, I realized again, I was like, she's not going to do me right. So I'm going to jump the gun and do her wrong first. I was waiting on her to do me wrong.
That sucks.
For no reason.
Yeah.
So earlier when you were talking about how your parents become the voices in your head as you grow up, for me, it was my grandmother. So I wasn't born here. I was born in the Philippines. Then my mom and I moved to Jersey when I was 11. And my grandmother was already in Jersey. So she brought us to the U.S. And I'm like basically going to be like, we have a generational gap. on top of the cultural gap. So then I'm the first teenager she's ever raised because she didn't really raise my mom and my aunt because it was your typical Filipino, you work abroad, you come home once, twice a year, but then you're working abroad because you're providing for your family back home, like you're sending money back home. So then when the time came that we migrated here, I'm the first teenager that she's raising because my grandfather raised my mom and my aunt. She was tired because she worked 2 jobs. And of course, she still had to come pick me up from school, the whole 9. She was very mean at some point. But for me, I used the voices in my head because, she would get, you're a teenager, you're getting phone calls from boys. All of a sudden, she goes in for the jugular, like, you're going to be a whore when you grow up, or you're going to be pregnant by in X amount of years. You're never going to amount to anything. It was really bad. And every time I was screwing up left and right, you know how most parents, when they co-parent, they don't bash the other parent because they want to give the kid the opportunity to make their own judgment call when the time is right.
Yeah.
I will never talk shit about your dad. My mom never did that, by the way.
My mom never did that either.
Yeah, like I'm not going to talk shit about your dad because I want you to have your own relationship with him. Why the hell, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's weird.
My grandmother, on the other hand, may she rest in peace. I love you, Grandma. You're the reason why I'm in America. She would be like, see, you act this way. You got that from your dad's side of the family. That's why you're that way. You got that from there. And just everything else piled up. What I did was I turned whatever she said that was negative into a positive. Like I fueled it to, oh, you said I was going to be pregnant by 18? Watch this. Oh, you said I wasn't going to graduate high school? Watch this. Oh, you said this? Watch this. So she fueled my pain in a way, like I used that as fuel for me to do better. And later on, shout out to therapy, I grew compassion for her. She was tired. She was working 2 jobs. She never even had a vacation for herself all her life. She just worked her butt off to send money back to us before we moved here.
Yeah.
Even down to when I moved here, she was still contributing, picking me up from school, dropping me off. And she was also battling cancer towards, yeah. So
she thought she was helping you out, like doing you a favor. Like,
yeah.
I'm going to scare you out of this.
Yeah. So, and she was dealing with a lot internally, and that's why she was very mean. Like, like when people are sick and they're just going through it and they don't know how to sort it out within themselves, they take it out on other people. Yeah. So that's like what I did. But then,
if you could say something to your grandmother right now with the information you have now, what would you say? Say it.
Why do you make me cry?
I'm not
I get it now. And I understand why you were feeling the way you do. And now I wish that, I understood you sooner before you left. Because then I feel like we would have a better relationship. I would have a better understanding, bigger patience for her. That's what I would tell her. Because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her.
Right.
And it sucks because at the time, like when I moved out of my mom's house, because we lived with her, when I moved out, at that point, I just couldn't take it anymore because every time I would see her, there was always an issue. And I never understood why. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, grandma, just looks at me. Don't say anything. Or my mom would try to put a lunch together for us and she would just be mean. Like she would be in her mood. And then, it's like, sometimes it's like, I don't know what's going on with you. And then I feel attacked. So in hindsight, if God gave her a longer life, maybe I would have spoken to her. Because after I moved out, even down to when I moved to LA, I didn't really get to speak to her. And the following time I saw her, she was going home to God. But with her bullying me, I would say bullying, growing up, when I first met Six, he told me I was, what was it?
Ugly.
What's wrong with you, bro?
Slow.
Am I ugly?
And slow?
No, you said somewhere along the lines of like.
She said when we first met, I thought I was going back to when we first met. She grew on me.
You know what? No, you said something.
What did I say?
About how I was, like how I handled shit. Remember?
I've told you a lot.
Neurotic?
Yes, there you go.
Oh,
Neurotic.
yeah.
Yes.
But I told her a lot of stuff and different iterations of that. Neurotic, crazy, bellicose, mendacious.
Okay, all right, enough.
Oh, okay.
We
We've had enough.
You get the point.
We get the point. Okay, I read the room.
Hilarious.
I want to go. Oh, go ahead.
No, so the bellicose, mendacious, and the neurotic one, I feel like that was because of that growing up, and it took me a minute. Like you were one of the first people that were actually like.
Well, that becomes part of your armor because you develop that armor so that you can deal with your grandmother and everything around you and anybody else.
Yeah, like I just felt like if I'm about to get attacked, you know what I'm saying? Like now I feel like the world is against me.
We built up that armor. I built up that armor, but you have to take that armor off in order to successfully pair bond in a relationship environment, whether it's romantic, platonic, or business. You know what I mean? But I realize, again, this is all, I've never been to therapy. I've never been to therapy. The therapy I went to was directly to God. And there's nothing more cathartic and soothing than really taking all your problems there and laying them out with God and that voice in your head and just facing it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize I used to be like, I didn't care I didn't have a father. And I really believed I did not care.
Right.
It wasn't till I did the work and I was like, oh shit, I did care. That's why I was so angry. That's why I was committing crimes and acts of violence like I was angry. I told myself I didn't care so that I wouldn't hurt. It was part of my armor. Like, I don't care. But I did. I don't know what it feel like to play football with your dad. Yeah. I don't know what it feel like to have a conversation with my father. I don't even know what it feel like for a parent to be like, yo, I love you. I'm proud of you. My mama I think I was 20 something for the first time when my mama first said she loved me. And it made me uncomfortable because I had never heard it.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what to say. I was like, that's weird. All right, old lady. But again, before she left, we repaired the relationship because thank God I ended up doing the work. But it becomes part of our armor.
I could see
we build up what other people can perceive as cold and callous to protect ourselves from our childhood trauma and anything we perceive that reflects that, because it has residual effects.
Yeah, because you said it to me. You've said it to me before, like when it comes to people's delivery. Like he told me, he's like, so what's your favorite dessert? I was like, I don't know, cheesecake. He was like, okay, so if I put cheesecake on top of a garbage can and I give it to you, you're gonna eat it? I'm like, no.
Right.
So then he's like, okay. So 6 has delivered a lot of things to me in a very
practical.
Yeah, it's very well said.
Yeah.
It lands.
Yeah.
But before you, when you said I'm neurotic, bellicose, mendacious, all that.
And kind-hearted. I did. She naming all the bad. They gonna be they finna get me. Trying to set me up.
Like he is a mean friend.
No, okay, no. Obviously, no. You did. Yes, you did. He did mention the good part, especially after I've evolved as a human being. No, but hear me out. But before he's called this out to me, which is that this is what real friends are for, right? He's not about to just be a yes man all day long. Like
he is not a yes man,
right? So before that, from other people, I've heard. You act like the world is against you. But he's broken it down for me much better. Like, I've heard it from people I've dated.
Well, it's the same when I said that men, when they have a bad relationship with their mother, they like, I'm finna just get my lick back on whatever woman.
Yeah.
You think the world against you because your grandma was against you. The very person that was supposed to be even more nurturing than the mother is supposed to be the grandma.
Right.
So you preemptively would strike at everybody and be sitting on ready. Like, I'm ready for it.
Like, mine is more like, yeah, like I'm gonna make it. Watch me prove you wrong. It don't matter if you were my boyfriend, my friend. Yeah. Like, so then 6, when, I don't know, one day, I forgot what it was. Then, you know how 6 would just tell you like what it is. And that's when he broke it down to me better and I understood it better. Yeah. But prior to you saying that to me, I've heard it, but I've heard it in those terms.
That's that. When I caught her stealing from Target, I'm like, look.
Target, please do not listen to this man.
Your cameras in 1991. I'm just
you a full woman. You cannot be in here stealing eyebrow pencils and crunchies.
Not eyebrow
pencils.
Let's
say if we can spin it positively in a way, because I do believe a lot of trauma came out, but I appreciate to a degree some of my upbringing.
Same.
Because I was disciplined because my parents were extremely disciplined. I react really well to authority because my dad was always very much an authority figure in my life. And
I love him. He made me bagels earlier.
He did. He's so sweet.
With butter and
honey. Yeah, it was really sweet.
What?
While she was doing my makeup, he cooked for us.
I know.
He's so sweet. My dad is the sweetest, which I was going to say is my primary love language, which is acts of service. And I know for a fact, if anything, it's because of my relationship with him, because he was like, oh, even like, especially when I was younger, filling up my gas tank, taking me and my sister on dates, like taking it. Like when I say, I was just talking to, I forgot, like someone the other day, and I was like, dude, like, my dad is like my road dog. I could be like, hey, we're going somewhere. He'll just get in the car. Like, all right.
Was me, fool.
It was you? Okay. I just, like, he's my road dog. Like, that dude is like my best friend. Like, he's amazing. So I appreciate that, even though, and like to your point, what you said, like, they did the best they could with what they had. My parents got married at 19 and 20. So.
That's young.
Yes. Yeah. Straight out the box.
Came out great.
Oh, thank you.
Considering the circumstances, which I want to segue into people who do have kids, especially fathers, and this is not about to be a pity party, because I didn't marry my first two children's mother. And as a man, when you don't grow up in a house, whether you had a direct hand on how those children came out or not, you are culpable for how they operate as an adult, because you did not marry their mother. You were not in the house. Now you could say, but I split my time, because I split time with my kids.
It's not the same.
But it's not the same. You have to be in the house.
Yeah.
I was a father before I was a man. Damn. I had kids young. So I made a lot of mistakes. I did the best I could with what I had. But picking your baby mama is the only time you get to pick and choose your enemy. So you better be careful. Because once y'all split, your baby mama becomes your enemy.
Quick.
Her attitude towards you has a pernicious effect on your children. Whether she's openly bashing you or not, they can feel energy. And it has a pernicious effect on the way your children will respect you, will perceive you, and will love and honor you. And you could be the most upstanding father. Go ahead.
No, that's true. Because remember, I told you that's what my grandmother used to do. So for the longest time before my dad and I, came back into each other's lives, because when I moved to America, I didn't get to see him for a long time. And I would say he was there, but not really. 14 to 22, it's a big gap.
That's a big gap.
And
that's your most.
That's everything.
Yeah.
Formative years.
Yeah.
And I back to what you're saying about like they feel energy and stuff. So when he and I fixed our relationship and now we're closer and the bond is stronger. Back then, when I was still a teenager, it was that, because my grandmother's like, oh, you got it from there, you got it from there. So now I'm thinking, yeah.
Because she's doubling down on what you're already missing.
Yes, because, like they broke up when I was 6. What do I know? You know what I mean? So I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. But
my mom never talked shit about my dad.
It was your grandmother.
It was my grandma.
She did it for her.
She did it for her.
Yeah.
But still.
Can I say what pernicious is? Because I never heard of that word before.
Pernicious?
Yeah,
it means at the end of the thing.
Okay.
They gonna have to just keep up.
I needed to know what it was.
Oh, that's what you was over there?
Yeah.
Google pernicious.
I love, but
she
I
want to know.
That's a sign of intelligence. She said, I don't know what that means.
I really didn't know.
But I did context clues.
But now
I was gonna Google it later. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
But once you split with that woman, again, she'll have a pernicious effect on your children and impede your ability to parent without guilt. Because when she lay down the law, it's like that's just mama. When you lay down the law, because she already have a negative, your children already has a negative connotation on you.
Yeah,
it builds up resentment that will show up later when they become teenagers. They're not coming over as much because
it's their choice now.
You bossy, but mom is just as bossy. You get what I'm saying? But the energy mom had when I was around you or for you when I came back home was deeply rooted inside of me. And that bond that children should have for their father is sometimes distorted and destroyed because of the way the mom feels about the father. So do not make babies with a woman that you desperately don't want to be with and marry. Because even though that is true, that the relationship that they have with their children can cause a pernicious effect, you did that, bro.
Yeah.
Stop making babies with women you have no intention of marrying, because you lay down in your bed. You what they say, you make the bed up, you gotta lay in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you can say, yeah, she was bashing me. She always, keep me from my kids. All that can be true, but you have to acknowledge the role you played in it. And as I began to self-develop and come into a man, I had to acknowledge the role that I played in the rigid relationship between the mother of my children and my children as it is now. I did the best I could with what I had, but I have to acknowledge that I did that. I was the man. I laid down with her. I made those babies. So if we didn't work out, it is my fault. If my kids didn't turn out the way I felt they should, or the best that I think I could have raised them, that is my fault. So I just wanted to go on record. I'd be remiss having an episode about parenting and don't reprimand these men that's making excuses. I get it. Yeah, I just said,
difficult.
picking your baby mama is the only time you get to pick and choose your enemy.
That's like
'Cause when
picking a business partner.
Yeah, when y'all split, her attitude will have a pernicious effect on your children. But you made your bed and you have to lie in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think sorry.
Go ahead.
I think the flip side to that is it really depends on the texture of your relationship too, because I did grow up with both my parents, but they weren't happy, right? Like, I think it was very, like, I don't know what word to use. Like, it was a functioning household for the most part, but what I will
transactional. The household was transactional.
I think so, because even if I asked my mom a while ago, I was like, hey, did I cry a lot as a kid or da-da-da-da? And I may have said this before. And she was like, yeah, I feel like you did. But like, we changed your diaper and we fed you, so we didn't know what it was. And I'm like, maybe I needed a hug. You know what I'm saying? So like, maybe I wanted to be held. I'm a baby. I don't know. Who wants to sit in a crib and cry for hours? Like, she was like, well, you just cried a lot. But like, my point is that, right.
That's why she's so stoic now.
Yeah, see? She's
very stoic and kind of callous at first, because she's not looking for, you heard her on the last episode, I don't need an apology, I don't need this. She never had it. So she can do without it.
Yeah.
I don't need your apology. I don't need you to come over here and hug me and kiss me and tell me I'm sorry. Like, she never grew up with it.
I barely grew up with affection though, but I'm like the polar opposite.
It has that effect on it too. I just said whatever you lack as a child usually dictates what you're going to value and pursue as an adult. You're going to look for that affection. You're going to look, but that's dangerous, because sometimes you be so thirsty for affection. That's how you end up drinking out of every cup and end up poisoned.
Yeah.
You have to really go do the healing work and go through your healing
so
journey
there's balance.
so that you have that balance.
Yeah.
So that you don't end up poisoned. Because if you keep dealing with the wrong man, when you find the right man, you gonna be the wrong woman.
Oof, that always throws me. But yeah, I was just saying that to say, like, they definitely agreed on how to parent us. I will always say, like, if she was like, your dad's gonna, when he gets home, you're in trouble, blah, blah. Like, they agreed on growing, we went to church, we grew up Christian. They agreed on how to raise us. But there was a disconnect between them. I saw it.
And
like,
felt
even
it.
thinking about it, it was very transactional and functional. Like, I used to go crazy in therapy because I would say to everyone that, like, when I was getting, talking in therapy, I'd be like, I had a relatively cool childhood. Like, nothing really happened. Like, thank God I was like never really abused. I was never like we hung out with our family all the time. I was friends with my cousins and we ran up and down the street with my best friends that are still my friends today. Like, everything to me felt relatively normal. Like, I could not figure out, like, I would always watch stuff on YouTube and Instagram, and I wanted the story. Like, where's that story that made him, like, I did it. Like, what's your background? Like, I could not connect to, like, why I was the way that I was, because it felt fairly normal. And again, that's when I realized, like, oh, emotional abuse is a thing. There's other forms of abuse that are not, like you said, pernicious. They're not necessarily pernicious. See, they're not overt, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like my mom was beating on me every day or something. It wasn't like she was mean every day. She just wasn't present.
Yeah.
Emotionally available. So, like, I think at a young age to become overly self-reliant is just like Six just kind of helped me discover. I'm overly reliant in a lot of ways. I'm overly reliant emotionally. I'm overly reliant financially. I'm overly reliant with my independence. Like, yeah, I let my man do stuff because my dad was that way. So like I still think there is a balance there, but I really have to check myself. Like I
Yeah.
really have to make sure that like, because I didn't know that I was overly self-reliant until probably like 2 weeks ago. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know that. Like I thought it was kind of just like, oh yeah, I just did what I had to do. Like I've been single, whatever. But I never pushed towards like I need a relationship. I need a man to do this. I never really felt like that. I just wanted like a partner. I wanted to be loved. But if it didn't feel a specific way, I think I just was like,
But that's why your views on marriage is the way it is. Because
Yeah.
the marriage you saw, like it literally has an effect. It's you do yourself a disservice if you don't audit your emotions
yeah,
regularly.
facts.
Mhm.
Like after my mom passed, it was like 2 years. I realized my love language changed to physical touch.
Mm.
Like that became high on my list. And I couldn't understand why, because all of a sudden I just yearned for my wife touch all the time and be up under her and want the cupcake and needed it. And I was like, why? And I was like, oh, because my mommy gone.
Mm.
Now I really yearn for that.
Mhm.
So now I know how to prioritize that or signal to her that I need that.
Mm.
That's why we have to audit and see where we are, because
Mhm.
life is not a straight line. Neither is your personality, your journey, or your
It can
characteristics.
change, yeah.
It's going to zigzag, things going to change,
Mhm.
downshift and upshift, downshift and upshift. So we have to regularly audit our personality and where we are and our emotions
Mm.
to see what we need.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you appreciate about your childhood? What do you think made you?
Everything, really. My mom was a genius, right? I just thought
stuff
she
you
was.
told me about her. I was like,
I just thought
dude.
she was crazy, and I ain't gonna sit up here and bash my mommy. I'm just telling the truth. When I got older, again, when I did the work, I realized, like what Lea said, I started to understand things. Like I get it. It was still wrong, but now I have understanding, right? Understanding is the most vital part of any relationship, because understanding ushers in peace.
Yeah.
When you don't understand, you don't have any peace. Why would you ever do that? I can't understand.
Right.
But when you understand, it ushers in peace. See, my superpower is I know how to understand things I don't
You
necessarily
do.
agree with.
Yeah, you do.
Most people, if they don't agree with it, they're not going to try to understand it. And I never waste my time trying to explain myself to somebody that's committed to misunderstanding me.
Mhm.
So I have a superpower. I know how to understand something I don't necessarily agree with. So I began to understand my mommy, and she was a genius. Now, she moved to California when she was like 16 to be a star.
Mm.
From where?
Florida.
Mhm.
Did not become a star, but she did have 6 kids, right? So imagine that kind of effect
Yeah.
on her, right? But she did what she wanted to do, just with no money. Like my mama would cuss you out in your house. Like you could be taking her somewhere in your car and she'll just say what she want. Like,
Unapologetic.
yeah, like I don't care, put me out. She just did not care.
Yeah.
And I remember when I asked my mom, she had got off drugs, and I asked her, how long was she in rehab? And she was like, I ain't going to no motherfucking rehab. And I was like, how did you get off?
She just stopped.
She said, I just stopped. She said, I quit because I wanted to quit. All that inhibition shit y'all was trying to do,
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to do that. I stopped when I wanted to stop.
Mhm.
So she kind of lived life on her own terms.
Love it.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be like her, but with money. So that's why I am the way I am, like her with money. Like,
Mhm.
I run things don't run me.
Mm.
I do what I want to do. I'm unbossed and unbought.
Oh.
My mom was the same way. She just didn't have no money. She, was struggling and, but I'm able to move like that with her. I said, oh, she was ingenious. She lived life on, even when she died, it was when she was ready. She did everything on her own terms. So I appreciate how she raised me, because her not really being there, and the world is mean to men, and it is cold to men.
Yeah.
Men only get what we deserve. You ever been to a club and got in and dude bought you a drink?
Yeah.
She said, of course.
They bought me a bottle.
What did you do for that bottle before you got there?
Nothing.
What did you do to that bottle for that bottle after you got there?
Nothing.
Exactly. Men only get what they deserve. You got a bottle and you didn't even deserve it. Women can get
I
what
do
they don't
deserve
necessarily.
it.
No, you don't.
What?
Huh?
Women.
Why do I not deserve it?
You did. You just said you did nothing for it.
So?
So you don't
Doesn't
deserve it.
mean you don't do, you don't, you have to do something to deserve something?
Men, yes, men do.
Mm.
Men have to do something.
He wanted to
deserve-
talk to me.
Listen what I'm trying to tell you. Listen what I'm trying to tell
I
you.
don't.
Men only get what they deserve.
Got it.
You walked in, got a bottle. Y'all can get a bottle for free, get in for free for no reason. It's
Yeah.
just men, we only get what we deserve.
Well, let's
So
be honest. It's because y'all want to see some titties.
I mean,
Y'all,
Okay.
y'all do it because you're nasty.
We only get.
I mean,
Men-
don't act like
wait,
you ain't
don't
trying.
Don't derail me.
Sorry,
Let me land. Men only get what we deserve. So growing up in an impoverished neighborhood, living in lack and limitation, I said when I become an adult, I want to stretch my hands out and never feel walls. Me growing up like that made me more aplomb, more astute, brought out my tenacity, brought out my temerity, and showed me how to persevere. So I wouldn't go back and change anything because I couldn't be who I am now. So I appreciate all that nasty stuff, right? As children. Let me ask you a question.
Well, I was
Have
gonna-
you, I'm gonna let you, let me ask you a question. Have you ever took a spoon, stuck it in some flour and just ate the flour raw?
no.
Have you ever just,
I did the cinnamon challenge. That shit was not fun.
have you ever cracked open an egg
Mm.
and just drank the egg raw?
Have you ever had balut?
Have you ever
No,
Cracked
I've never.
open
No,
an
no.
have you ever took some oil,
No, ew.
coconut oil, put it in a cup and just drink it?
No, ew.
Yeah,
Look at-
I've
look
had
at all-
coconut-
look at-
I took a shot of coconut oil before.
I've had oregano oil.
No, not oregano oil, cooking oil.
No,
Have
why?
you-
Who would do
cooking
that?
oil.
Yeah.
No.
Have you ever
No.
put cooking oil in a cup and just drank it?
No.
No.
6? What is wrong with
Look at y'all faces.
I know where
All
exactly
them
where you're
things
going.
I just named individually is nasty. That's why you making that face. But those are the same ingredients it take to make a cake.
Yep. I know where
Your
you're
childhood, that individual trauma might be nasty.
alone. Yeah.
But when you put it all together and pair it with positivity, now you have the power to recreate and redefine your life on your own terms. Just like those ingredients. Individually, they nasty. But when they all come together, those are the same ingredients to make a cake.
Yeah.
So how you were raised wasn't your fault.
Right.
But when you grow up, it become your responsibility to heal from that and
Well,
use
that's-
every single one of those ingredients
That's what I was gonna tell you.
to make the life you want to have.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna tell you because you guys were talking about like what happened in your childhood and how it was and how it affected you. So I've had like like emotionally unavailable people in my life, and I turned out to be like the opposite. And down to strangers having a conversation with me, they tell me their business, and I'm just like, okay, like, but I don't judge. So because I had dismissive parents, my grandma, I think I developed this like safe space within myself that people feel safe with me and they feel like they could be 100% themselves with me because I don't judge. And I really give that safe space for people
Because you've been so judged.
because I never felt safe. I've been
Oh.
judged. Yeah. Like, like any little mistake, it's like, you got that from your dad's side of the family.
Yeah.
Because my dad was a little knucklehead too. When he became a lawyer, he was still doing drugs recreationally. I was 3 months old. My mom said he didn't come home for 3 days. Like, what were you doing? You know what I mean? But
Drugs, recreation.
right, you know what I mean? So,
They
but
call that like a binge, right? Or like a, what do they call it?
whatever. But he turned
Rolling?
his life around. You know what I mean? Like, but because of that, like, that's why if I were to be doing something I'm not supposed to be doing, or I don't know, God forbid I snuck out the house to go to the movies, you know what I mean? It was to the extreme. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's why you're going to turn out to be this, this, and this. So that within itself, and me not feeling like I didn't feel safe. Like I wasn't coddled as a child. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, I remember when I got jumped my freshman year, like, instead of my mom asking me, am I okay? As soon as we got home, she's on the phone with my dad. And you know how the conversation becomes, yeah, your daughter, not our kid, your daughter
Yeah,
did
parents
X,
do that
Y,
a
and
lot.
Z. You know what I mean? So it was more so that. And I never had that feeling of safety. And instead now I have friends that I consider family. And that's the beautiful thing about not having that as a child. I was able to now create my own family, and everybody makes me feel safe,
I love that.
seen, and all of that. And in exchange of that, I do my best to provide that for everybody that's in my circle.
I love
Because
that.
even down to
Yeah.
strangers, they start telling me their business. I'm like, oh,
That
cool.
happens to my mom a lot too. She's very like intuitive and open, and people just tell her stuff.
I like that though, because sometimes I can use some tea.
Well, and she's actually a therapist now, so she really get all the tea. If you really want tea, become a therapist. They'll tell you more than you want to know. Oh, I thought she was.
No.
The only you I don't
Just
know,
go like
yeah,
this.
it's just
Do
a common
this,
thing.
Just do this.
Okay.
But there was one other thing I wanted to kind of go back to that I feel like we glossed over a little bit was
Mm-hmm.
relationships after the trauma, right? With your parents, the molding or the what's the word I'm looking for?
Redefining.
Or the like repairing. Excuse me.
Repairing.
So repairing a relationship after said trauma. I think that's super important. I know some people don't get an opportunity to do this. And I think we had a moment where I told you, like, oh, your girls, they're gonna come around, because after my parents broke up, it was ugly. Like my dad wanted my mom back at first. Like, so that was ugly. He was like chasing her. He was like, I want her. She was like, I'm over here with somebody else. Bye.
Mm-hmm.
And he just had a really, really, really hard time with it. Like, it was a side of my dad that I was like, bro, you
ain't even
crashing
respect-
out. Well, you just
Tell
crashing
the
out.
truth. You was like, come on.
I don't think
Dad,
I
you
had
gonna
an opinion. I was
suffer.
so young. But he wanted my
Pops was
mom
being
back. Who don't want to
sucked.
save their marriage at first? I think everybody tries to save their marriage.
I
Yeah.
can see it. It depends on what they did.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. They
Depend on
tried
what
to
you
save
did.
their I mean, they got married so young and they didn't make
Yeah,
it through that evolution.
I'm surprised you can't to the way the one young woman you have grown to be is so remarkable.
Oh,
I've told you this before. Like I hope my daughters grow up to be this balanced and successful,
thank you.
because they also, my first two, came from a broken home,
Exactly.
right? And you're proof that you can heal, you can evolve, and you can repair.
Yeah. And that's what I was kind of going to say. Like, I came around to establish my own relationship with my dad after I realized I
Same.
could have a separate
Yeah.
relationship with him. I don't
Mhm.
think I really knew the difference, but I think what I appreciate the most is that my dad was extremely open to it too. And I just asked him, I was like, well, like, what happened with you and mom? And he was like, I cheated on her. And I was like, oh, well, where'd you meet the girl? He's like, a gas station.
Where you meet the girl is
I don't know
crazy.
why I wanted
Why
to
does it
know.
matter?
I don't know.
Why you need them details?
But it was
Where you
like,
need
I
that?
think it was the fact that
Now
he
she
was
got
just
PTSD every time she
Every time
drives
she's
past Chevron. Every
This is why she
76.
drives electric now.
Yeah, she only drive electric because
No
her
more-
dad.
but
she
no
don't
more
mind
gas
Every time she was
with
filling
a
up
girl
her
at the
gas tank, she's
station.
like, yeah.
Yo,
anyway.
that is deeply rooted. That's why she
That's why
only
she
got
drives electric. This is
Wow,
her second
Pops.
electric car.
That shit go deep, bro. It go deep.
No, it was the same for me and my dad. It took a minute. Like, and remember, 6 was the one calling it out at first when I was like, no, it's the generational gap. It's the cultural gap. I was doing that for a minute. And then he tried to say, yeah, okay. He wasn't in agreement with me. Then one day, it was like a year later, shout out to therapy. I'm having a conversation with 6, and then, I don't know, I just said something that stood out to him that I was like, oh, I completely get it now. I understand. Like, I'm more patient with him now. And then he was like, wow, Lea, like, I'm proud of you. This is the first time that you did not, I guess my dad got mad at me about something. And, he gets a little mean when he's mad, but that's okay. And I told 6, and he was like, this is the first time that you and your dad kind of got into it a little bit, and you didn't meet him where he's at, temperament-wise, and you didn't blame it on cultural gap or generational gap.
Because I was proud of you. I mean, I know you're an adult, but he's still your father.
Right.
Yeah.
Your father is your father. Like, my kids, no matter how old they get and grown they think they are,
Exactly.
they still have to pay homage
Yeah.
and be respectful.
Mhm.
I wiped your ass. You ain't never wiped my ass.
Ooh.
I lived without you
I
before.
almost had to wipe my dad's ass, but that's no here near there. nor
But
there.
as a parent, we lived without you before, but you ain't never lived without us.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that line of respect has
Always
to be
to stay there,
prominent
yeah.
and in place at all times.
I'm not sure I still have that. I probably have to work on that. I'm not even gonna lie. But I was just gonna say the last thing I want to say. I'm sorry. I want to make sure I don't lose my train of thought. I would say that again, what I appreciate the most about my dad is that no matter how hard it got, he still showed up. He still picked us up. He still took us to church. And I don't think I have ever shared this before, but my dad pretty much like fell apart after the divorce. And he went through some stuff, but he would get a hotel room and we would stay with him in a hotel room all three, me and him and my sister, like in the bed together, and we would just get up and go to church the next day. And I think the reason why I'm so close to him now is because no matter how hard it got, he still showed up.
Man.
And
Yeah.
so like I think as someone who is going through something, like I can only imagine how hard it is to deal with the child's other parent, right? And I can only imagine how like just I say like
Yes.
we joke about
I-
this like this is why men leave. Like this is why men disappear and it is unsurmountably hard.
It is breathtaking and refreshing to hear you say that about your father as a father.
Yeah.
Because my first two kids ain't even there yet.
Yeah.
Me and my
They will
first
get
two
there.
kids' mother had a tumultuous relationship,
Right.
but I never left.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be
I would drive 2 hours to go
Yes.
pick them up, just pop up at their school, take them Valentine. Like, she did not make it easy for me.
right.
And I'm not saying a lot of the things that I didn't help cause,
Right.
but it was hard. A lot of people walk out on their children. And again, I was a father before I was a man, but I never left them.
So important.
And I can't wait till they get to that point. I never left them.
Yeah.
Like when they wanted to do ballet, I had to pound my rims to pay for ballet.
Mm.
They don't know that. Their mother had a mother and a father that can give them money and look out.
Yeah.
I didn't have anybody. So anything I did, I was struggling. When I had to go, when they was a baby, catch the bus in the wrong enemy hood with a gun in my back pocket,
Mm.
with the car seat in my hand, because it's my turn to get my daughter, and my kid's mom is like, I'm not bringing them to you. And I'm like, but you have a car. I don't care.
Mm.
It's your turn. You come get them. And I'm like, yo, I get killed going over there. I don't care. It's your turn. I'm putting my life, like it's a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't think that my daughters understand what I went through as a father,
Right.
because regardless if y'all got an attitude or don't got an attitude, if your mama talking shit or not talking shit, I still have to pay.
Yeah.
Imagine somebody talking shit to you, belittling you, and you still gotta pay. You still gotta do for the kid with
Yeah.
joy and glee.
Yeah.
And they gonna give their mama all the credit. They
They
never
do.
really give daddy. They get an award, be like, thanks to my mama. You never give daddy the credit.
Yeah.
Mama mess up, you say mama did the best she can. Daddy mess up, yo, daddy ain't shit.
Right.
Mhm.
Like, it's hard being a father.
It
So
is.
hearing you say that is refreshing, because I would drive 2 hours just to go pop up at their school. Anything they had, I was always there. And at that juncture, their mother did not make it easy, and I never shook my responsibility. I feel guilty now that I'm older and more mature, but I used to have my daughter in a trap house with me
Mm.
because I wanted her. She was like 9 months old, a year old in a car seat, and I'm chopping up dope because it was my turn to have her, and I'm a father. I understand now why, my kid's mom be like, I don't want her to go over there. I get it, because she like, you over there, anything. But I'm like, I wanted my baby. This is my baby. I didn't want them to ever know what it felt like to grow up not having a father, because that shit hurt.
Yeah.
It hurt.
Yeah.
So no matter what me and their mother went through, no matter what I had to do, my daughter used to like India Ari. Short story. She came one day and said she wanted a guitar. And I was like, damn, I looked up the price of a guitar back then. And I was like, shit. I went and pawned my chain.
Mm.
So you gotta
A
get
chain was everything back then.
Yeah, you
to
need
get
it,
her
yeah.
guitar and
Mhm.
surprised her with it.
Mm.
I still got the video. Like, all the sacrifices fathers have to make barely get noticed, because it's like you supposed to do that.
You are.
But when a mother make it, it's like, my mother was great. She even worked at the shoe store just
Yeah.
to. Fathers don't get that same kind of accolade and approbation. So to hear you give your father that
Yeah.
accolade and approbation, I can't wait till my children come sit down and be like, yo, I thought about it.
Yeah.
You never left.
Never left.
I never really told them my side. I let their mama tell their
He
side.
never told me his.
I never told them my
My
side.
dad never
Yeah, he
either.
never
And
did.
I remember
he never said it. I mean, he does a little bit now. I'm not gonna lie, but
my
he's
Because everybody think they mama, all y'all
Perfect.
mamas ain't angels. Hoes wasn't just invented in 2025. Some of y'all mamas was hoes.
Damn.
Because seriously,
I was gonna say something nice about my
No, but
dad.
I'm gonna let you say something nice about your dad, but hoes been around for a long time. Everybody mama was in a church going
Are
9
we
to
talking
5
about the
corporate
gardening
worker.
tool?
No, we're not talking about. We're talking about the person that can suck a golf ball through a water hose.
Whoa.
Wow.
We are
Whoa.
not talking about the
Whoa.
tools they sell at Home Depot.
No,
We are not.
We're talking about the tools they sell at Girl Collection. Nah.
But my last little tidbit of advice is, again, be open with your children. Don't expect them not to understand depending on their age. Like, I think what I appreciated again the most was that he was there and I felt like I could talk to. He literally is my friend. Like, he's literally my friend.
It's crazy. Like, my dad, the thing that he said to me, like when me and my mom were leaving to America, because I also didn't find out because communication was not the best in our household. But I remember him telling me, he's like, we're going to see each other again. I'm 10.
Yeah.
I'm like, we are? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then, no, we're going to see each other again and we're going to see each other more. So then fast forward, like I said, we saw each other maybe from 14 to 22, 3 times. That's a lot. Like, that's not a lot.
Yeah.
Then when he finally came back into my life and he was really actively like being present, it's great. Like, he never even bothered explaining his side of the story. I always was the one that was asking, and he said it all the time. He was like, I understand my shortcomings and I'm making up for them. Your mother was great to me. It was really me. Like, he took full accountability.
Yeah.
Well, use these 30 seconds. Talk to him.
I love him. No, I'll just talk to him
No,
on
talk to him.
FaceTime.
Give him public approbation. Tell
Okay.
your dad. Give him some public
I
approbation.
would say, Dad, I love you. I'm very proud of you. I'm proud at the fact that you just made yourself proud and you're a great man. He is generous. He is kind. He is compassionate. He's loving. And he's just cool as shit. He is cool as fuck. I feel like you guys would get along. You just
He
had a
turned his
little
life around, right?
Yeah, he did. 1000%. Like, yeah, he had his fun moments. Then he said at some
Hey,
point, he turned
hey.
around and he saw, whoa, everybody I graduated with are moving on up. Okay, I also got a kid. All right, I need to tighten up. And he did. And he did. He was nothing like, Grandma, I love you. Nothing the way my grandmother painted him out to be.
Wow.
Absolutely nothing like that.
Tell your dad you love him.
I love you, Dad.
Tell your dad you love him.
Daddy, I love you.
And if you out there listening, you have a father or a father figure, you tell your father you love him, tell your mother you love him, and address that childhood trauma so it doesn't have residual effects and show up in your relationships in the worst way. This has been an awesome episode of the Humans with Brains podcast. Whether you agree, disagree, or have some input, please comment on our YouTube channel or our Instagram. Thank you for tuning in. As always, this is a dummy-free zone, so don't get over here saying no stupid shit.
Boy, I sure hope the dummies aren't listening.